The night my husband told me to get out of his house, I was shaking so hard the bed frame rattled against the wall. My fever was 104 degrees. My lips were cracked. My throat felt like it had been scraped raw with sandpaper. I could barely lift my head from the pillow. He stood at the foot of the bed and adjusted his cufflinks. Not angry, not yelling, just detached. "Begone by morning," he said. The words didn't even sound real at first. They floated above me like something said to someone else. I blinked. My vision doubled. "Darnell, I'm sick," I whispered. He looked at me the way someone looks at a stain on a white shirt. I know. No softness, no hesitation, no flicker of the man I once married. He thought I was powerless. He thought I had nothing. He had no idea he was evicting the woman who quietly owned everything. My name is Kesha Monroe. I'm 41 years old. 3 nights ago, while my body burned and my bones felt hollow, my husband stood in the bedroom we once painted together and ended our marriage like he was canceling cable service. He didn't shout. That would have been easier. He didn't slam doors. He didn't rage. He was calm. That calmness hurt more than cruelty. "I can't keep carrying you," he said, carrying me. The words sliced deeper than the fever. I stared at him. My hands were trembling so badly I couldn't even grip the edge of the comforter. I tried to sit up and dizziness flooded my skull. For a moment, black spots danced across my vision. "I asked you for medicine," I whispered. He laughed. Not loudly, just under his breath, like I was ridiculous. "I brought something better," he said, placing the legal envelope on my lap. My fingers felt numb as I opened it. The paper crackled too loudly in the quiet room. "Petition for dissolution of marriage," the words blurred. I blinked, trying to focus. My heart began pounding so violently I thought it might burst through my ribs. "Divorce?" My voice cracked on the word. "Yes." He didn't sit down. He didn't comfort me. He stood tall, hands in pockets like a landlord delivering notice. "I'm tired of this," he continued. "The coughing, the weakness, the constant medical drama. I need a partner, not a liability." Liability. I felt something inside me fracture. For years, I had been the one holding him up. When he lost his first job, I was there. When he doubted himself, I encouraged him. When bills piled up, I reassured him. I remembered holding his face in my hands while he cried into my shoulder. But tonight, I was a liability. Tears slid sideways into my hairline. I didn't even have the strength to wipe them away. "You're cruel," I whispered. He sighed like I was exhausting. "What's cruel is staying in a marriage that drags me down. Everything here, I built it. It's in my name, the house, the cars, the accounts. You brought nothing. You leave with nothing." The fever made my body shake, but something colder than illness settled into my chest. He thought I had nothing. He thought the late nights on my phone were gossip. He thought the packages arriving were hobbies. He thought the women's group meetings were charity lunches. He never once asked, never once cared. "I'll have the locks changed tomorrow," he said casually. "I'm staying at Simone's tonight." Simone, the name felt like glass, so there it was. Not just abandonment, replacement. He paused at the door and glanced back at me. "If you have any dignity left," he added, "be gone before sunrise." Then he walked out. The bedroom door clicked shut. I lay there shaking, staring at the ceiling. The room felt enormous and empty. The fever pressed against my temples. My body hurt, but the pain in my chest was worse. It was heavy, crushing, like grief and betrayal had weight. I cried. Not dramatic sobbing, just quiet tears. The kind that slip out when you realize something you believed in was never real. 15 years of marriage, gone in 5 sentences. I turned my head slowly toward the nightstand. My regular phone sat there, silent, useless. Then I reached under my pillow. My fingers closed around the other phone, the one he never knew about. I pressed my thumb to the screen. It unlocked instantly. No social media, no distractions. Just encrypted apps, financial dashboards, corporate dashboards. I scrolled past live revenue figures, international shipment logs, executive messages waiting for approval. Monroe Luxury Group Holdings, net monthly profit. $1.5 million. I stared at the number through fever-blurred eyes. For years, I had lived simply, modestly, quietly. I let him believe he was the provider. I let him feel powerful. I let him have his ego. I built my empire in silence because I loved him. Oh, how foolish that sounds now. My finger hovered over one contact. Director Valencia Thompson, CEO, my partner, my shield. I pressed call. She answered on the first ring. "Miss Monroe?" Her voice was steady, grounded, respectful. I've activated contingency, I said. My voice was hoarse, but the tremble was no longer from weakness. There was a pause. Understood. What level? Full. Another pause. Longer this time. I see, she replied quietly. Medical first? Yes. Discreet extraction now. And Mr. Carter? I closed my eyes. A tear slipped free, but my voice did not break. Asset recovery begins in 72 hours. Yes, chairperson, the word grounded me, not wife, not burden, not liability, chairperson. Within 25 minutes, the house was no longer silent. A black executive medical transport van pulled into the driveway without sirens. A private medical team entered through the unlocked door, professional, efficient. Director Thompson herself walked into my bedroom. When she saw my condition, something fierce flashed in her eyes. Let's get you out of here, she said gently. As they lifted me onto the stretcher, I looked around that room, the framed wedding photo on the wall, the furniture I chose. The house I quietly financed, he thought it was his. Oh, Darnell, you were living inside a gift you never deserved. They carried me out through the front door. The night air was cool against my burning skin. As the van doors closed, I felt something shift inside me, not revenge, not rage, clarity. In that moment, lying under soft medical lighting as the IV cooled my veins, I realized something that cut deeper than betrayal. He never saw me, not once. He saw what he wanted: a quiet wife, a small woman, a dependent presence. He never saw the mind-building supply chains across continents. He never saw the contracts I signed. He never saw the nights I worked until 3 a.m. while he slept beside me. He never asked, and that was his fatal mistake. 72 hours later, while he celebrated his freedom in another woman's loft, every account tied to his leveraged assets froze. The business loan he bragged about, owned by my holding company, the house, collateral under my subsidiary, the cars, registered under the loan he defaulted on when moral conduct clauses activated. Clause 11 billion. He should have read what he signed. When the execution team arrived at his house, he called me. He was crying. Kesha, help me, he begged. They're taking everything. I was in the executive boardroom, 40 floors above the city, healthy. Dressed in sapphire silk, the board members were silent as his sobbing echoed through the speaker. I don't understand, he cried. Why is this happening? I let the silence stretch. Then I spoke calmly. Because you told me to leave, I said. And you were right. There was a sharp inhale on the other end. You said it was your house, I continued softly. So I took mine back. The line went quiet. He whispered my name like he was finally seeing me, but it was too late. The fever that almost broke me, it burned something else away. The version of me that accepted crumbs. The version of me that stayed small to protect a man's ego. That woman died in that bed. What rose in her place was not revenge. It was recognition of my worth, of my power, of the fact that love should never require self-erasure. When I finally saw him again in my building lobby, he was on his knees, crying, begging, broken. I felt no triumph, just distance. You called me a liability, I said quietly. He nodded through tears. I adjusted my jacket sleeve. My company, I replied, doesn't invest in losses. Then I turned away, because the greatest revenge was not destruction. It was elevation, and I had already risen. God bless.